Hello, everybody. Alvini Vape. My name is Victor here. Today we have unscheduled live and we have special guests. Stay tuned. We'll be back shortly with our special guest. Thanks. So, and today, somebody has an echo. Tom?
Yes. Better?
I think you have an echo. I'll try to mute you. Yeah, Tom, you can hear me. I muted your microphone, so can you please check that your volume is a bit lower, or use earphones, please? Yeah, otherwise it was perfect before. Yeah, I muted you now for now.
I was still getting a bit of an echo there. No.
Yes, I apologize for our viewers that it's a little technical difficulty, but that happens. You know, when people joining in live, that's normal. Nothing to be afraid or ashamed of. So, Damian,
Hi, Victor.
How are you tonight?
Not too bad at all. Been a long day, but we're getting there.
Okay, so you had a busy day today, isn't it?
Very busy, talking with politicians and doing the whole advocacy bit as much as we can.
Oh, okay, that's really good. I see Tom is coming back. Okay, now Tom, could you say something?
Oh, is the mic working?
Yes, the mic is working perfectly and there is no echo. Thank you. Now we have the problem solved. Okay, today we have two gentlemen with us coming live, and they both are from New Nicotine Alliance in Ireland, short version NAA. Would you please tell what is the New Nicotine Alliance all about and what you guys are doing, please? Who wants to start first?
Damian,
look.
Well, we are a consumer advocacy organisation set up by consumers for consumers. So really, we're concerned with the consumer rights in the tobacco harm reduction space, because up until now, the only voice in advocacy in Ireland was those involved with the industry themselves. So we're like an independent voice that has no financial ties specifically to any industry. So that's who we are. We're also a fully registered charity, and we have two doctors on our board of directors as well as myself and Tom. So,
and we are registered as a charity. When you register as a charity, you have to have a charitable purpose.
Yes.
And ours is partially educational. So we distribute the latest research and information on vaping and nicotine, not just to consumers, but to the regulators, the various health bodies as well.
Okay, and you said consumers. Are you having a lot of interaction with the consumers, with end users, with vapers?
Yes, especially recently, because naturally, the more it's in the news, the more people wonder, well, who's contradicting the media spin?
Yes.
So they wind up in touch with us. We have a Facebook page for the New Nicotine Alliance, and that's where most people contact us.
Okay, and what kind of questions are the vapers asking, actually, you guys? Just general, you know, like the most top three asked questions. Then that would be interesting to hear.
Well, recently, probably the most often asked question was about the lung injury cases in the United States.
Yes.
Possibly, or well, probably because of the way it was spun by the media. A lot of questions, people asking, is it deadly? Is it more dangerous than smoking? And that was absolutely the top question. So we had to try to explain to people that it wasn't the regulated nicotine products that we have within the EU, that it was actually black market cannabis products that was causing all the injuries in the United States. But that was by far and away the most asked question.
Yeah,
I can imagine. What's surprisingly, I do have 5 retail outlets here, and I've got asked really, really surprisingly low amount of questions about what's going on in the States. I was surprised actually by the but the lack of questions. I thought it's going to be more, like people coming in. Oh, did you hear this? Did you hear that? Oh, what's going on there? I was really surprised. I didn't get so many questions, but those who did ask, my answer was on the end. Yeah, what's happening there? So yes, my answer was okay. This happens when people start to experiment. Yeah, and that the substance that was killing the people wasn't even the drugs. It was vitamin E. Like it's vitamins are killing. But no press release was about that. As soon as this appeared, what the press did, vaping kills. Yeah, that was the whole message all across the globe on the media. They didn't even tell, or if it was written somewhere down below in a small fonts. You couldn't really see. That's that could be like from black market THC cartridges, THC containing cartridges which were cut down with vitamin E, like those kind of things.
Yeah.
But like people are these days, they read only the headlines. They read the headline, okay, that's it. That's the main message in the headline. Yeah. And if the media starts, vaping, long illnesses, vaping, long injury, vaping, people dying, all these, they read, they get already the information. Oh, the vaping is bad,
Well, that's it. But I mean, the media did that. That was intentional. There's no doubt whatsoever that was fully intentional, because we knew as far back as August that it was vitamin E acetate. We knew that it was a cutting agent. They even knew the brand of cutting agent. It was called Honeycut, was one of them. So this was August, and I know personally that I was in touch with media outlets and politicians and told them as far back and sent them references so they could check it out themselves, that this was an illegal cannabis THC product, that the compound was vitamin E acetate, and that it was used as a thickening agent. So they knew, and I don't mean just sending off emails. I mean physically talking to somebody, because I always make a point to send a phone call first, and then if people want to follow up, I'll follow up with an email too. So they were made aware of it. Senior politicians were made aware of it as well. Politicians that are spokespeople for health knew, and I know they've seen the emails because I got confirmation emails back. Yet and all, they still repeated this. So it was fully intentional by the media to spin the story the way they did. Fully intentional.
And what response did you get? In response from our government, health officials, etc.? Which you try to send the messages, emails, like try to educate them basically.
One of the first to jump in was News Talk, who used to have Dr. Ray Wally as their medical spokesperson.
Yes, and what was that?
He came on one evening and went full-on anti-vaping, conflagrated the THC injuries with vaping. We sent a letter of complaint to News Talk that he had, as a doctor, presenting what was presented as a medical opinion, he had misled the audience. And their reply was, he is a doctor, you're not.
Okay, speaking of doctors, you said you have 2 doctors in the NNA.
Yeah.
Yes.
2
Those
doctors.
are you guys?
Sorry?
Are those you two, the doctors, or I don't?
One of our trustees is Dr. John Madden. He's a Donegal doctor. Well, he's a retired GP now. He was the county coroner as well. He's a vapor himself of 6 years, and the other trustee is Dr. Garrett McGovern, who's the director of the Priority Medical Clinic. He's one of the top addiction specialists in the country. So we thought it was very important to have, people of that caliber and that expertise as part of the organisation, And Dr. Madden was fantastic to get on board, just for the fact that he vapes as well, So it was good to get them both on board.
I see. So we have vaping doctors. That's good news. Have you heard of vaping politics? Actually, politicians.
Well, I don't know personally for 100% that they vape, but I have been told by people in other organisations that know or that have said about politicians that vape. But myself and Tom were just talking about this earlier on today. Those same politicians don't seem to be stepping up when their own parties are really putting the hammer down with misinformation. One of the politicians that I was told is Willie O'Dea, who's Limerick Fianna Fáil TD for a very, very long time. Now, I don't know, as I said, for a fact if he does, but it came from a very reliable source. But I know other parties that have elected councillors, grassroots members that are definitely, that I know for a fact, vape. So I don't know if they're in a position to talk to the leadership or to get their points across to the leadership, or do they even know the ins and outs of the science that people like ourselves would know, that are sort of knee deep in the advocacy movement. So when it comes to the politics, that's complex.
Every single politician must know somebody who's quit smoking using e-cigs. If not directly in their family, then certainly in their circle of acquaintance.
That's for sure.
And yet they will all back up the line. No evidence they work.
Yeah,
that's for sure. I have customers from here in Limerick from the widest range. I have nurses coming in. I have guards coming in. I have the city council employees, coming in. I've got even revenue coming in, as a vapers,
Quite a few guards vape.
Yes, so
I know that for a fact.
Well,
in the back of the courthouse,
quite a lot of TDs actually smoke as well, and I do know that for a fact. I know quite a few that are secret smokers. So we have there's that too, but it's difficult. And as Tom was saying earlier, they're obviously getting their orders from somewhere else, and they're not questioning it. They're just going with it, which is very, very disappointing, to say the least.
Yeah.
Well, I think they see it as an easy win with very little blowback. It's a product that appeals to what? 5% of 20% of the population.
Yeah.
That's 1% of people. So if they ban it, no votes lost. But the other 99% are actually in favor of banning it.
Yeah.
The 8% non-smoker hates it.
I was surprised. The other day I was listening to a radio show on the classic hits. There was one show as well, and people were calling in about vaping. And I was really surprised about the lack of understanding what vaping is from all those callers who were calling in. And actually that the guy who was running the show on the radio, he was protecting vaping against all those people calling in and telling that's all chemicals. I don't want to be standing in a bus shelter waiting for a bus. If somebody next to me is vaping, and inhaling all these chemicals, and then he turns out when the bus comes out of the exhaust of the bus, that's actually more dangerous than actually the vape next to you.
More dangerous.
There's a full glass of chemicals. The scary word, chemicals. Absolutely everything is chemicals.
Yes, I know. So I see 5 people are watching us live now. If you guys have questions, please just write comments below for questions. If you want your question to ask during the live show, you have to go to Alvini Limerick's Facebook page and write it there, because I know I shared this live feed to a couple of vaping groups and forums. So if you want your question so that we can see it, you have to come to Alvini Limerick's Facebook page and write it there underneath this feed, or you go to YouTube as well, because this is streaming now on to 3 platforms: YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. Actually, I have to check Twitter if you're live, because I did connect my account just now, the first time. So anyway, YouTube is best for the video quality. So if you go on YouTube, just search for Alvini Vape, you will see the ads. Those 2 are the most reliable, Facebook and YouTube. Okay, that's just so somebody knows. You understand, because maybe somebody's writing an Irish vaping for group, and wondering why those comments are not coming through. They are coming through only on the feeds which we are feeding into. Okay. Good. I have one question. Maybe also our viewers will have the same question as well. You said you are a charity. Where do you get your funding from?
We are self-funded at the minute.
So basically,
the funding is
in our own pockets.
Literally out of our own pocket. That's where the funding is coming from.
So just 2 or the whole board, you just put like 50 € a month or something, or which way it goes?
No, it's a low budget effort. The majority of our work is phone calls.
Yes.
So if you've already got a phone, your quid's in on that. You'd be paying for the phone anyway. The rest of it is letter writing, emails, a bit of time, So maybe there's an opportunity cost or something that we rightfully should be compensated for, but I really don't think so. I don't think advocacy like that requires people and presence more than it requires big money right now.
Numbers.
Right now, what we need are numbers of people.
That's
the more people sign up to our Facebook page, the more weight our phone call has when we call a TD. When we call.
Then let's do something about that.
Well, I would like to add something to that as well.
Not
just phone calls, but actual meetings. I've done that a lot. I mean, I was in Sligo 2 days ago to meet a professor from DCU that's involved with health policy and things like that. And I've met and travelled to meet a lot of politicians. So if it's possible, if you have a good relationship with your local TD, see if you can get a meeting and talk to them, as well as making a phone call. And people think it's a very, very complicated affair that you have to go on and you have to know all these numbers and statistics and facts and figures. You don't. All you really need is to tell them your personal story, how it affected you. There's other people that can do the facts and figures and stats and things like that, so it doesn't have to be overly complicated. The same for the calls and emails. It's about your own experience. That's what matters, far more than lists of references and studies. So that's everybody's important. But as Tom said, it's not a high cost operation at this point. I mean, obviously, if you want to do campaigns and do other things that are, that will involve costs, there's going to be costs. But so far, that's not really. Do you know what I mean? It's but numbers.
travel.
If we want,
You have to go to Dublin or maybe meet some TDs.
we're off to Dublin at the end of the month.
Yeah, we'll be both of us in Dublin in 3 weeks' time for
heading there for
an
argument.
Before we go to that Dublin meeting, I want to encourage all our viewers who are watching this live or later on in replay to go to Facebook and search for this term, NNA Ireland. Yeah, that's the Facebook page of New Nicotine Ireland. Yeah, and join in, sign up, put a like, so that this group can join. Like Damian said, more people are in the group, the stronger the voice is gonna be when they do talk with our officials in
exactly.
Yeah.
It's a closed group, so you'll have to apply to join, but we respond fairly fast.
Yes, please. Yeah, join in, because newest update policymakers most definitely is going to be in the group. Okay.
Yeah.
As you know, Facebook has a policy on nicotine products. They want all those to be closed groups.
Yeah. But we are working on a website, so if anybody has any good or has any expertise in that area, a bit of help would be really useful, because
be great. Yeah.
I haven't a clue when it comes to technical stuff, so I have passed the buck on websites and anything to do with over to Tom and let him deal with that. But we're trying. We have been for a while to get some sort of website, because it would be far easier to upload things and to, because we do make submissions to various committees as well as submissions to TDs as well, and it would be, rather than a closed Facebook group, a website would be really easy to connect with people, as well. So
we have a website, and we will be adding a mailing list to it. Sign here at
a mailing list that people can sign up to receive the news. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, a once monthly newsletter.
Yeah. Monthly is fine, but please don't send daily, because people
they're annoying, aren't they? We've all been caught with those.
There'll only be information sent that's actually relevant to what's going on. You're not going to get a load of articles from all over the world that have little to no impact for Ireland. We want to keep it relevant for us. Obviously, the wider scale of what's going on in the EU will have a very big effect on us, but I mean, for our intents and purposes, and because it's really only a few of us that's kind of doing this part of the work, we'll put out what we think's necessary for people to actually know about, calls to action and that type of thing.
Yeah. Okay. I have here one question already. So Richie is asking, will the UK leaving the EU affect advocating in terms of following the NHS, who seem to be supporting vaping at the moment? So what are your thoughts on this one?
Absolutely, it will.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we're losing a major ally.
The
UK is, I think, the only country globally, the only who is supporting and promoting vaping wherever they can.
Yeah, basically, and they will be shut out of all those health committees and discussions. The talks for TPD3 is already happening right now, because the TPD, it's not set in stone. What was written into it 5 years ago was that there would be an updated version. Each country was to write a report, submit a report of what worked and what didn't work with the TPD, and there would be a revision. So that's going on now, and that'll be released next year. So the UK voice that are very strong advocates and a very powerful position because of the number of MEPs they are all gone, every one of them. So it has a massive negative
as of yesterday.
Yeah. So but the other thing about that is Clive Bates, who's the former director of ASH UK. He put out a piece, I think it was November, December, where he called on all advocates around the EU to activate, including the UK, because with the way the trade deals could work for the UK, they could be locked in to whatever the TPD comes out, without having any input into it, because
they will be if they want to put any product on the EU market.
Exactly. There will have to be alignment. There will have to be regulatory alignment. So, it's a pretty big deal. One of the things that I used to hear quite a lot, not so much now, is that we'll be fine in Ireland because the UK have a very pro attitude, which is completely wrong. So if anything, we're under more pressure in a far worse position now that they have gone. And a worse position for them too, because they might not have any input into regulations that come down the road. So yeah, that's why it's even more important that people get active and start contacting their TDs. So bit of a long-winded answer to that question.
Okay, no, that's really good answer. Thank you. Now, elections. Election is next weekend.
Yeah.
What you guys would be advising to do? Because I have here a question from Zach. He's asking, when talking to local TDs, is there anything you can suggest to say to them apart from our own stories?
Do you want to take this, Tom, or will I? I know what I would tell them anyway.
Yeah, I could tell you exactly what to say to them, but there's probably laws against that kind of thing. Your own story is probably the best. If the more of them they hear, the more that they're explained by somebody who has benefited from vaping, that they did benefit from it, the more convinced they'll be. You can tell them 95% safer. You can tell them nothing to do with the lung injuries. They won't hear that.
Yeah, that's true.
They will hear it when you say, well, I haven't smoked a cigarette for 3 years. These yolks are great.
Yeah.
That's the best story for them, because if they hear that 10 times a day, it'll register.
It'll register with them far more. Make a point that is the only thing. If you have tried other methods to quit, I know most people have, including myself, I'd make a point of telling them, listen, I tried loads of other things and nothing else worked. I would make an issue of flavors too, just to definitely get that out there, because there is a big push to ban flavors. So I would suggest to people as well to make a point of telling them that, you're not using a tobacco flavor. Well, if you're not using one, that is, that, the flavors are extremely important to you as well, because a lot of them don't actually understand the technology or vaping at all. I've had politicians tell me that it would be fine if all they left was unflavored and tobacco. A lot of times that they genuinely think that's fair enough. So, as Tom said, I'll keep it personal. I wouldn't go down the route of studies 95% less harmful or that, because it's just, it's over the heads. They don't really.
95% they have a lot of times already, and more you do the same thing over and over again, you're not really paying attention to that anymore.
Well, rather than using
also personal success story.
Absolutely.
If you can get it out as emotional as possible, the better it is,
Yeah, that's
exactly what convinces people. We love stories in Ireland. We just love stories. I mean, the marriage referendum would not have passed without people telling their stories.
They love stories in this case,
the stories, and we relate to people. Yes. And we relate to their stories. Facts and figures are for boffins.
Yeah, there's a place for the figures, but now, especially in an election, it's the time to make it personal. Because the 95% figure, it's kind of lost all meaning. I don't even use it myself when I'm talking to politicians. I tend to avoid it now. What I use is something that they can actually visualize, something they know. And that was a study that came out of New York School of Public or Global Health, where they said it's got about the same risk profile as nicotine gum, because that's something they can actually understand. So, you know, the 95% figure can be twisted and turned. You know, I've heard people from the Irish Heart Foundation say that, yeah, but that means there's a 5% chance it'll kill you. You know, no, it doesn't. That's not what the number means. So I tend to avoid that now. Most of the time I would use that. Professor David Abrams was the lead author on the study, where they doing the continuum of risk, and that's what it was, just slightly more elevated, roughly the same risk profile as nicotine gum.
Yeah.
So
The
again,
same,
And
the same.
oddly enough, slightly higher than Swedish snus.
yeah,
And the only reason for that slight hike is the snus has been around for so long.
yeah, at
They
least
have the data that it's basically safe. In 10 years' time, I sincerely doubt there'll any injury or danger turn up from vaping specifically. The problem is you will see vapors turn up with smoking related diseases because vapors were smokers. I don't know anybody who went straight to vaping.
Have you checked your health screening, like in a lungs X-ray or something like that lately? Have you done that?
I haven't anyway.
Believe it or not, I had a checkup with the doctor, full medical, just before Christmas. And he said, go home, you're grand, you'll be fine. There's nothing wrong with you.
Yeah.
So,
You see, I'm vaping myself since 2010, end of 2010, yeah, early 2011. That's where I started to vape, and haven't touched a cigarette in about 5 years now, yeah, because my last cigarette, or one cigarette, just one, you know, half cigarette was about like 4 or 5 years ago, just for crack, you know. I tried, I didn't like it, but I was back home last summer and was doing some, you know, blood test and everything, like just regular, and I thought, okay, let's give a shot of X-ray on my lungs as well, just for my own sake, you know, just out of curiosity. I thought, okay, let's check how does it look, you know, because the holiday was quite short. Okay, I get my X-ray done, flew back to Ireland, you know, and then I signed the paper that my wife can pick up the results and speak to the doctor, you know, because that's a medical thing, you have to sign for it, you know, like somebody else can get the yeah, and she came then a week after, came also to Ireland, and I said, "Now, what was the doctor?" I said, "No, you're gonna live, unfortunately." You know, I have to talk with you for another years.
We're wasting the life insurance money.
Yes, yeah. The doctor said after all this time, he said, looking at the X-rays, he can't see any difference concerning the age. Yeah, I'm like 44, almost 45 now. Concerning the age, that's like perfectly healthy lungs, you know, like in those years I haven't been smoking, my lungs have cleared, obviously, you know, like because our bodies have the unique thing that they can heal themselves, you know, like, so if you stop.
Yeah, there was a study last week that said within 1 month they start to heal.
Yeah.
Within 1 month of stopping smoking, you're actually reversing the damage that was done, not just parking it.
That was cardiovascular. That was pulmonary. Yeah. That's what the one says. Yeah, after 1 month, there was a marked improvement that they could actually measure an improvement. There was another study just a few days ago as well, where they had taken samples of lungs and things like that as well from people that were that had been smokers and switched over. And in most of the cases, they said basically the same thing, that the lungs were pink again, and you wouldn't even know that these people had even smoked. So, you know, it's coming in all the time. The evidence is piling up, and there's going to be no place to hide for the prohibitionists. It's really getting to that stage, you know, that everything that come out, I think they
know that. I think that's why there's such a huge push now.
That's
before
probably
the evidence gets away on them.
Because
now,
once
why,
the laws are
why,
in place, it's
why
hard to
is
get
the
rid of them.
evidence going in that direction? Why they want to stop it? Anyone's guess.
Yeah, it makes no sense in Ireland. It does make sense in the United States to an extent because of the master settlement agreement and because of
Yeah.
pharmaceutical involvement and health policy and insurance and everything
In
else.
Ireland, you also got pharmaceutical involvement.
The big one in the United States is the master settlement agreement. That's, you're talking literally billions per year that's paid out based on cigarette sales. So that's why I can understand it a bit more. You know, you still can't understand it because you're talking about people's lives, but you know, when you can see those vast sums of money that they have on top of, you know, the other taxes and that, you can see why they would do it. But over here, with what's meant to be socialized healthcare, it's absolutely, that's absurd. The position that the HSE are taking, that the Cancer Society and the Heart Foundation are taking.
Yeah. It is odd that our health bodies have taken a very American position.
Speaking of America, John says that personal stories had no effect in legislations in the states, New Jersey and etc.
Well, I can speak a bit about that because I talked to quite a few advocates in the United States. What I seen over there, and it's something that I kind of hope that we wouldn't sleepwalk into, is nobody really got properly active. Now, they need a lot of funding as well, just to be clear, more so than we do. The big companies, the manufacturers, the juice makers, they did not get involved properly. Most of them now, not all of them, until it was too late. That's what really happened, you know. And the reviewers, you see, reviewers, some of the big names, the guys that weren't known for advocacy, they only started doing broadcasts about advocacy when it was threatening their hometown or their business. So the personal stories have worked in some places that they've had flavour bans overturned, but other places it hasn't happened. But again, that's the lure of the money. You know, some of these states are making an absolute fortune on tax and MSA money, but the people got active when it was too late.
Yeah,
you know,
if you let it get to the stage that there is a proposed legislation, you're asking politicians to back down from a position.
Yeah,
that's a much harder deal than asking them to just pretend they know nothing and ignore it.
Yeah, that is,
you know, if they get the personal stories now, they will not propose the legislation. Once they've proposed it, they will be very reluctant to back away from it.
And with the personal stories, what do you think? What would be the best way to reach some ears that are listening in the government? You know, it's sitting in the house. Yeah, is that correct?
They're all listening now. They'll be listening until next Friday, until next Saturday. After that, they're going to stop listening.
That's
so basically, what people need to do now is basically go. That's why we had
if you meet them when canvassing, if you meet canvassers, if you can ring a constituency office, any of the ways you'd normally, if you had a pothole you needed fixed, whatever you would do to get that done, do that with your vape story.
Yeah, because there's an awful lot of us, you know, 246,000 vapers in Ireland. That's a lot of people. You know, it's enough people to swing. Sorry?
It's 250,000.
Yeah, that's how many. Yeah. That's the estimated number. That's a lot of people, you know. And when you consider that the vast majority are adults, you know, that's a lot of votes. It's a lot of registered voters, you know. So as Tom said, now is the time that they will absolutely listen to you because they want something from you. So now is an ideal time to do it, you know. But again, you know, you have to go and pick up the phone, or if they come to your door, talk to them at the door, you know.
Yeah, I actually recently had one conversation. Okay, it was on Facebook, you know. one independent guy from Clare put a post, oh, vote for me, as I'm independent, I'm gonna do this and that, especially for Clare. Shannon Airport, you know, is a big issue, because it's dying out slowly, you know, and everything, like, oh, bring back the jobs and tourism and all that. Yeah, his points. And I asked, yeah, what's your view on vaping and flavored vapes? And he came back with oh, we have to ban them. They are we have to protect the children. So, Jesus.
Yeah,
I have the feeling that right now the politicians are running with this big slogan, we have to protect the children, the same as it was before the TPD came in 2017. We have to protect the children. That's why we have only small bottles, only small tanks. Okay, yeah, small tanks like these, 2 ml only, because if a child gets hold on it and opens and drinks and can get poisoned and die and all this kind of style. That was the big, you know, oh, we have to protect the children. I fully understand why they go.
But nobody moved bleach into 10 ml bottles.
Yes. Yeah. On the other hand, you know, like, because the children, this is the holy grail of any parent, you know, like, because they want to protect the children. You know, like, it's just playing on them. Oh, we have to protect the children. But I was surprised, me as a foreigner here in Ireland, you know, I was really surprised about the Irish government, that they go with, oh, protect the children and everything. 2017, this was already implemented, the TPD. And it is still legal to sell to children in businesses. Yeah. They didn't put it in the law to
we have no idea. It's a mystery. It's a complete. There is no answer to why that was left out of when they implemented the TPD. I cannot understand it. James Riley was the man over that, and he completely dropped the ball on that.
Simon Harris that signed the TPD, 2016. Simon Harris.
It was James was there for. He was the Irish Commissioner for Health at the time it came in.
Yeah,
and he was a senator when the TPD came to the Senate.
Yeah, he was senator.
He never raised a hand. He never said anything.
I'm really surprised, because right now, you know, okay, I'm speaking as a interested, you know, person in the issue, because I run a vape business. Yeah? But it's really interesting for me. That's okay. It's down to the business owners to decide. Okay, will I sell to kids or not? Yeah. Okay. My policy, my company is we are not serving kids. Okay, but in the same time, I am sending the kids away. They go to deals around the corner where they can walk in, grab a bottle off the shelf themselves. They are not being handed over. Yeah. It's free, accessible. Take a bottle, and if they are well mannered. Yeah, when they are well-mannered kids, then they will go to self-checkout and pay for it, not just and put it in the pocket and walk out, you know, like they at least are gonna pay for it if they're well-mannered, you know, like, but I've seen a lot of those cases, they just grab and go, you know, like don't even pay. And at self-checkout, nobody's asking them for IDs, nothing. They can just legally go in, buy, doesn't matter, 10, 12, 13, 15, 17 or 22 years old. You know, and at a really attractive price of $150 per bottle.
Yeah,
you know, like that's I don't understand.
You can even pick up a vape pen for a tenner.
Yeah, they have
on open display in the middle of the shop, not behind the counter.
Yes.
No idea. There was it was probably the
Tom Freezer, did he?
Yeah, I was like, is it me or Tom?
I thought he was deep in thought there for a second. But yeah, on the underage issue, that's something we have also brought up with the Minister for Health. As far back, it was actually before the NNA was, an official thing. Up to 3 years ago, we've made contact with them to implement an under 18s policy, and it was completely ignored. So why they did it, we don't know. But Simon Harris was the minister that signed the TPD into law in 2016. And now he's the one that was making all the noise, saying he was here to save the kids by ensuring legislation was in place, and he ignored it for the last 3 years.
And that's what amazes me. Like, I'm so surprised to see that.
Yeah.
How is that?
But I mean, this is what's leading us to the place we're at now, is kids that have them. So I know what you're saying about people going to deals and going to other places and pick them up. But, deals, and they have other products to sell. A vape shop that's doing that, you're signing your own death.
But I know personally vape shops who have school.
Oh, I know that. I don't doubt there is. I mean, there has to be somewhere. But they are signing their own death warrant as a business, because that's what's going to shut it down. It's as simple as that. There's other things that I really dislike that goes on and that's sold and that. And I mean, the bottom line is it's shooting themselves in the foot. If they're going to sell to teenagers regularly, and if people know that they're selling to teens, as in underage teens, when the legislation comes through, and it will come through very soon, the under 18s, well, you're going to be shut down. You're going to be hit with a huge fine, and that's going to be it. So you might make some money in the short term, the shops that are doing this, but it's not a long-term plan.
Yeah, and another interesting thing is about the whole story about the flavors, or attractive flavors and packaging for the youth.
Yeah,
we have to protect the children. Me as a father personally, okay, my daughter is now 17 and she has the vape. I gave her the vape, no nicotine. Yeah, just she's using it just to be cool, hanging out around with the friends and everything, because you think it's the next cool thing. They say, okay, listen, okay, you want to be part of a gang, I understand. We are people, we want to be a part of a pack, and if somebody's vaping, this is new cool things, and this, listen, better you vape than smoke. That's my personal opinion.
Absolutely, yeah. I agree with you totally, yeah.
And they are out and about, they go, I don't know, McDonald's, whatever, they always in the streets and doing some stuff. I would rather than vape than her to vape than to smoke, okay?
Yeah.
And I cannot be there on control all the time as well. It's impossible. You can't be 24/7 with and just watching over your kids, and they at the age of 16, 17, they should understand and know what's bad, what's good,
Yeah, well, they absolutely do, yeah.
That's my opinion. You parents out there, it's the way you deal with your kids. It's your choice. I'm not telling you what to do, but I as I said, I would rather her to vape than to smoke, and I understand it's still propylene glycol and vegetable glycerin and flavorings which they are inhaling. Of course, this is gonna be less healthy or as a fresh air, obviously, and that brings up also the question about the media back, what also kind of annoyed me, that all the media spoke that vaping is bad. Of course, vaping is bad if you compare it with fresh air.
Yeah.
But they didn't talk about vaping is bad compared with a cigarette smoke.
Yeah, because I mean, that's not going
to.
That's the old saying about the media: if it bleeds, it leads. They don't want to hear good stories. New study has come out that shows vaping is twice as effective as NRTs. That got covered. Some papers, stuck in a corner somewhere. But something the likes of the lung injuries in the United States, when you add X number of deaths, you can slap that on a front page or a page 2. It's going to get shares, it's going to get comments, it's going to get a lot of traffic. it's the same way any story. People don't want to hear the good news stories. They want the bad stuff. You know, something they can get their teeth into, and it's not going to change. But you know, the media has been reckless.
Some time ago they were saying sex sells. Yeah, now these days is, you know, like bad news, catastrophes sell. You know,
absolutely they do, and that's the way things have gone. You know, that's what they will put on. And as I said at the start, they know they're doing it. These journalists that are putting these stories out, they know they're doing it, and they know what's right and what's wrong about it. I mean, I've talked to a few journalists, and I've had articles that have been done that completely misquoted me, put in things completely out of context. When I'm talking about facts and figures and studies, I make a point to always give references. They would leave all those out as well. You know, they've even questioned my integrity. I had one reporter from the Irish Times suggest that our organisation was set up by Big Tobacco. You know,
I also heard that from Simon Harris as well. Oh, I won't sit down with tobacco. They're trying to put the young, you know, like our youth onto nicotine addiction so they can keep profiting from it. You know, like, and even the vape companies approaching and telling, listen, we need to have the 18 plus regulation, you know, like for we are asking for it. No, we won't sit down and talk about the, you know, with the industry to create some kind of sensitive regulation. No, this sold tobacco. No, we are not. Listen, vape industry is actually the one which is kicking ass.
Absolutely.
Right now. Yeah, so we are actually the ones who are against the tobacco industry. We are allies, you know, of the government at this point, you know, like, but you know, this short sight or complete ignorance, that's the only things which come in my mind, you know, if they're not talking with the industry.
When Simon Harris made those comments about, I think it was in the Journal, that article appeared where he said he was sick being lobbied by the tobacco industry. When he was talking about the vape industry or whatever, and he said, you know, it was all Big Tobacco and whatever. That was 1 week after I got an official email back from his office, because we had asked for a meeting with him, and all our details were sent, including our registered charity number, the RCN number. So it was all sent to his office, and got a reply back to say it was been sent to Simon to check his diary and whatever else. And he refused our meeting. And then 1 week later, he made that comment about not sitting down with the tobacco industry. And I was livid whenever I heard that, because he knows that our organisation has absolutely nothing to do with any industry as a whole, never mind a tobacco industry. Do you know what I mean? So,
especially if there is no funding coming from outside, so that's you know, nobody can turn around and say, tobacco industry is giving this charity money, so they are funding it. Here we go. Which brings another question up, which I was also surprised. The Irish Cancer Society is also
shocking. Absolutely shocking, the statements. I spent about half an hour, 40 minutes on the phone with the Irish Cancer Society yesterday about their pledge page to try to get some more details about some of the statements they had made. Well, I knew where it came from anyway, because I had seen the so-called research when they put it up in the first place, so I know where it came from. And that they just confirmed that one of the statement they made about, I think it was heart, lung and brain injuries, that came from a study carried out on 20 smokers and mice. So not even an ex-smoker that was a vapor, it was 20 smokers and mice. That was where that part came from. The second paragraph down, I think it was second or third paragraph, where they said about the appealing to young people, the advertising or the packaging and stuff like that, 3rd and 4th year students. That was a focus group that lasted 40 minutes with a total of 16 teenagers.
Yes.
Not groups of 16 in total. and they tried to pass that off as research. But I went over with the guy on the phone, the actual research, what we do know, and he had no answers at all. He probably didn't know half of the things that I was telling him anyway, especially when it came to flavors. I was telling him about a study that was carried out last year. Dr. Farsalinos, it was the largest study into flavors ever, almost 70,000 people, and it was overwhelmingly fruit, dessert, and sweet flavors was the preference among adult vapers that had stopped smoking. But again, this guy from the Cancer Society hadn't heard of that study, but they were relying on something from 16 kids. And it's, like we said earlier, it's absolutely ridiculous that they're putting this stuff up.
I have a funny story as well to tell. My eldest and middle, they both go in the same secondary school now in China, and they have got Alvini hoodies, Alvini branded hoodies. So they wear the hoodies to go to school, to school, and one of them girls, they had their PE. That's where the principal came in and was telling, she's like 14, that age group, about the dangers of vaping. She had like 10 minutes speech about dangers of vaping, and that vaping is worse than smoking, and you shouldn't start vape and all this, like really, really talking negative about vaping, and you shouldn't. Okay, I understand school has to some kind of try to put that in the kids' heads that the vaping is bad. Of course, it's bad if you compare it with the fresh air again, but and this is kind of scaremongery, and luckily, okay, my daughter, that she knows that I'm vaping, and that's definitely better than smoking, And she said, but she found it really funny that she was talking about vaping. Yeah, okay, finish the speech. Yeah, do you understand? Yeah, it's bad, yes. And then my daughter walks out, and then the principals just spotted her hoodie, which was already vape, like big logo on the back, She's like, almost embarrassed, but what could she do, with the hoodie?
Did they talk to them about smoking as well?
Yeah.
Did they bring up smoking as well when they're talking to them?
No, they're just talking bad about vaping, just talking down, putting negative light on the vaping. I think because they understand that it's already been a lot of years that, okay, everybody knows that smoking is bad, so they try to push that now in plant into heads of children, like our teenagers, that vaping is also bad. There's nothing cool about it. That's it is bad. Which I understand, but not in that perspective. It's worse than smoking. All the chemicals again, brought up. The kid just told me, I thought, what should I do now? Should I go to the principal, have a meeting with her as well? Educate her, tell her my story, or what?
Yeah, you probably should. But I mean, as well as, and I actually made a comment about something very similar earlier on today. Aside from telling the kids obvious falsehoods, the other side of that is telling young people, especially that age, this is something you definitely shouldn't be doing. It's bad, stay away. They're going to want to try it to see what all this, what all the fuss about. The number one reason for youth vaping in the NYTS, the National Youth Tobacco Survey in the United States, that's where they take all their numbers from. The number one reason that the young people gave for trying vaping was curiosity, and that was 56%. I think number two was I can do tricks, blowing rings or whatever. Number three was flavors. The FDA actually sent out leaflets and things to be put on every single high school and the toilet doors about the dangers of vaping. So rather than putting off the youth, that was actually encouraging them. That actually drove more young people to try it. So it's absolutely, it's crazy. It's like, they don't even think about these things, and these are the people teaching teaching the young ones. It's quite a scary prospect.
I see that Tom is not coming back, so I think we lost him for today.
Tom's very bad internet connection. He's out in the middle of nowhere, so the whole thing could have shut down on him.
Okay.
But, I would make an approach to the teacher just to tell them, you got your facts wrong. You shouldn't be talking to them about this in the first place. But if you are going to talk to them about it, you should not be telling them lies. That's what I would do if it was me. But I'm kind of mouthy at the best of times. So.
Okay, so I see there. Okay, Zach has the question about the youth vaping, but we actually already spoke about this. I think the biggest problem about the vaping epidemic in the youth is actually the ease of access. It's so accessible, the vapes right now in Ireland. I think that's the main issue. And if the government would have did an amendment to the vaping regulation, which they could have done already a long time ago. Let's say in May 2017, they introduced the TPD. Okay, this is now the law, all the small bottles and everything. And then if they would realize, oh, Jesus, we forgot about the kids, they could do an amendment any time after that. Yeah,
that bill was actually that bill was actually at committee at the minute.
Yeah.
Under 18s, that's actually happening. But they did know, as I said earlier, but the bill was there at the minute, and that bill includes further advertising restrictions. So that will be in the next number of months, without a doubt.
But my point is, if the politicians wanted to protect the kids, they could have done it already a long time ago.
Most of them didn't even know this was an issue. It was until the whole USA thing is what kicked everything into overdrive. Because I had a very good relationship with a lot of politicians that I would speak to on and off, and from about August onwards, that completely changed. So it kind of coincides with the whole USA thing.
Yeah.
So that's what brought it all up. Epidemic as well. That word should never ever be used for something like that, because it's just bandied about now. It's not an epidemic. There's no disease. There's no plague. There's no pestilence. So it's a terrible word to use. But in Ireland, I mean, we have the Healthy Ireland survey that comes out every November, and it's consistently, since they started doing the Healthy Ireland in 2015, the amount of never smokers going on to regularly use vapor products is less than 1%. And the Healthy Ireland survey, I think it goes down as far as 15-year-olds up to adults. I don't know numbers for lower than that, but if it follows the UK and the United States, there's high numbers of experimentation, but very, very low numbers of regular use.
Yeah.
But
I agree with that. Now, I think Zach is our best viewer. He asked the questions. Here's the question: if shops had a specific license to sell vapes, just like alcohol and cigarettes, do you think it would help our situation at the moment? What are your thoughts about it? I know for sure that the licensing is coming. At least that was the agency officials told me.
Yeah, that's part of the under 18 bill.
Yeah, that's when they came in and inspected my shop here in Limerick, because I also spoke with them about that. Listen, what's going on? Like kids can vape, and I cannot sell a bigger bottle, than 10 mil. Where is the whole thing? It's like, it's been worked on, and also licensing is coming. Will that help or not? The licensing?
To be honest, not really my department about licensing. I would only be guessing at that. I mean, I don't know the run-ins of the shop. So, but I mean, I would assume if you had a licensing system coupled with the under 18 regulations, then I would only imagine it would cut down on young people. But what I would be very worried about when it comes to licensing is that they would price shops completely out of the market. As a consumer, that would really concern me. You know, if you have smaller shops or the likes of people that are maybe doing online only and things like that, I would be worried that you have very hard-working, genuine retailers that are doing everything right, that they could be placed under a very high financial burden. I don't know what the license
it depends how much the license is going to cost, per shop or per company. You know, we are waiting for that. But you just mentioned something which triggered kind of, you know, like alarm in my back of my head. You said online sales. If somebody's online only, right now the tobacco sales are forbidden online, and if they put it in the same bracket, the vapes with the tobacco, that would kill the online business of vapes as well.
And that's that. We as an organization, we would be 100% against an online ban or anything like that at all. I mean, even where I am, I'm in quite a rural part of Donegal. The nearest vape shop to me is 20 miles away. You know, and it's, you know, there's only, Donegal is a very big county. It's like the 4th largest county in Ireland, and I think there's only 4 or 5 shops in the entire county. So, you know, I don't think there should be any restrictions on the actual sales to adults, because, you know, there's people, I know a lot of older people that use vapor products that actually get their liquids and that posted to them. So I would not like to see any sort of ban on online, or any extra expense put on online. We would be absolutely 100% against that.
But you know that there are the EU countries who have banned online sales. Latvia, for example, that's where I'm from. That's why I know, you know, like Latvia, there are no online sales allowed on vapes, and not buying vapes from let's say another EU country. So if you as a consumer, you are placing an order for your vapes in Germany or Lithuania, which is next neighbor, you know, like you are making yourself a criminal, you know, in this case. So
that used to be the case in Norway too. I think they used to have to import nicotine. Norway's now adopted the TPD. I can't remember how strict it was, but I know they couldn't buy nicotine. Australia is the same as well, but they've actually done a change. But no, I mean, I'm talking from an advocacy perspective of a consumer organisation. We would absolutely oppose something like that, because, you know, what we're fighting for is every and all consumers, you know. So if it's going to impact the ordinary vapor, you know, in a negative way, we're going to fight against it. You know, that's what we're about.
Yeah, and about the licensing as well. Yeah, that's interesting, because, you know, for us businesses, it's whatever comes on top. Let's say if the government decide to put an excise tax on it, you know, it's gonna be on top. So that's gonna increase the prices of the liquids, basically.
Well, I would say there'll be taxes everywhere. I think it's inevitable. It's going to come in at some point, but it's just a matter of how regressive the tax are. I know Hungary had a very high taxation on vapor products, and they've actually reversed that. I think it was about a week ago, I'd seen a write-up about it, that they were going to reverse their high taxation on vapor products because it had really blown up and fueled a black market there. As far as I recall, I think the number was 80 to 85% of the vapor market in Hungary was black market. So yeah, I'd need to find out now. I mean,
market is not regulated, not tested. You know, if it goes into black market, then you, again, we're opening doors to contaminated products. God knows what's in them.
Well, it's not. I mean, I've heard of people saying that if they ban flavors, I'll just make my own. You can get flavors in any shop. You know, you don't know what's in that flavor, but I mean, you know, you can pick up flavors that are oil based. You know, if you start trying to vape oil based flavors, you're going to be in a bad way. So, that's the danger.
Vitamin E acetate, oily substance.
That's exactly what happened. No, it is. It's a lipid. That's what it actually is. And that's the danger, because people wouldn't really know that, e-liquid's aqueous. It's water soluble. So if you're going to put in a flavor, the flavors have to be water soluble. So, and if a black market starts to, the guys, they're there to make money. They don't care what kind of product you get. So, that's the real danger when you have high taxation, and when you have enforced bans, any types of prohibition. Black markets happen. That's just the way it is. So yeah, we'd be very staunchly against anything like that coming in.
Yeah. What's your relationship with other alliances? Let's say we have the IVVA in Ireland. Then we have another one, vaping groups, that was Vaping Business Ireland, something like that. It was also there in Dublin area. Are you working with them together as well, or each is independent and you try?
They're trade groups. We're a consumer group. Two different things. The IVVA, the Irish Vape Vendors Association, they're an independent trade organisation. VBI are a trade organisation, but they would have the likes of Juul and the tobacco companies. They represent some of their interests as well. But whereas we're consumers, we have nothing to do with the actual trade side. But we are partners in a much larger organisation as well, ETHRA, European Tobacco Harm Reduction Advocates, which is a very big organisation of similar advocacy organisations right around Europe, with 21 or 22 members. There's ourselves, obviously, the NNA UK, and there's advocacy organisations from France, Germany, Sweden, Estonia. There's New Nicotine Alliance Estonia as well, and so it's we're part of a much bigger movement for consumers that's right across Europe.
And that big alliance then is trying to knock on the doors in Brussels, yeah?
Oh, absolutely, yeah, actively, and we're very much part of that. We're part of ETHRA from the very start.
Oh, okay.
NNA UK were the founders. They kind of put the whole thing together, and we're in it sort of from the start as well. But yeah, a big part of our focus with that organisation will be, first of all, COP9, the Conference of Parties, the World Health Organization, which is the Framework Convention for Tobacco Control, which is in November, I think. And then after the COP9, it'll be the TPD3. So yeah, we're working closely with all our partners over there, again, trying to activate consumers, because that's what's going to do it. People power.
Damien, yeah. Tom is messaging us. Sorry guys, drop the connection. So.
Yeah, I thought that's what happened.
Yeah. Okay. Then what's okay? I want to call to action again all viewers who might watch it. So I would encourage everyone who is watching this live or in replay, go to the Facebook and search for NNA Ireland, and join the group, because by doing that's what you will get. So you will get all the latest info from New Nicotine Alliance, from Damian and Tom. You will also show the group your support, and remember the numbers. This is a numbers game, so more people are in the group, more power we also have.
Yeah.
And then the alliance can go and tell Simon Harris, listen, we are not a tobacco company. We are a consumer advocacy group, and we have, how many members do you have right now there?
Well, in the Facebook group, I think there's about 300, but I mean that was only, the Facebook group was just started kind of as a stopgap until the website and everything's done. But I mean, if you include all the Facebook groups on the Irish vaping ones. You know, there's quite a lot of people, but as well as joining.
Wait, let me finish this. So you have 300 people on your page right now, yeah? And there is, let's say, Irish Vaping Facebook group, there are over 2,000 there.
Yeah.
But Irish Vaping Facebook group, they are not talking with the government. So you guys are. So then you should actually, if you have, let's say, 5 groups and they are ranging between 500 and 2,000 in each, yeah? Should be other way around, actually. I see, you know, like that. That's
well, I mean,
Ireland should have more actually people in the group, because let's say if you reach 10,000, which is a small percentage actually, because 10,000 out of 250,000 vapers, that's, you know, that number 300 is actually a disgrace, I must say. You know, it's more.
We're only registered as an organization. It was about the middle of the summer, so it's not actually open that long. We were active for a long time before that, but myself and Tom didn't really want to go public with the whole organization, what we're doing, until the application was through with the charities regulator. So that was an actual that was a decision we came to, that we wanted all the paperwork, all the bureaucracy, and actually have our charity number before we made an announcement and said, look, this is a thing, you know, that's what we wanted to do. So the pages, that's only open.
Now you are a registered charity, so now you can, so then I would encourage everybody who sees that, go there, join the group, fill out. You have some questions as well, or just have to apply?
No, just apply. That's all you have to do.
Just go there, apply. Even if you are not really interested to see the daily feed, because I'm seeing them, you know, because I'm in the group, and you are very active. That's, I really appreciate that. You know, really valuable info you're putting in there. Everything was something appears new on positive or negative press, you know. First thing I see you guys are posting that in that page, you know, on that group. So I would encourage everybody, just go there. If the info is not so important, you can also tick, you know, okay, no news, you know, in Facebook. Basically, you like, but you unfollow, you know, like you're not getting the info, but at least you are in the group. Because when then Damian and Tom, you know, are going to talk with the government bodies, then they can turn around and say, listen, we have consumer group, which is 2,000, 5,000, 10,000 people.
That's actually a question that is
better than actually, we are a group and we have right now only 300 there.
Yeah, but that is a question that I've been asked before. How many do you represent? So that is a question that's asked.
So,
but I mean, we don't post an awful lot of stuff on the group. The actual group itself, it's mostly for information, as Tom said at the start. It's education, as well as the advocacy part, and you know, dealing with politicians and dealing with health organizations. So, you know, a lot of that is just putting up information for people. So if they have questions or comments, they can put them in and somebody can answer it. You know, if I don't know it or Tom doesn't know it, we can ask Dr. McGovern, we can ask Dr. Madden, do you know what I mean? And if they don't know, we can go to the European organization and say, do any of your people, can you give us an answer? We need to know this, because between the 22 groups, there's probably more expertise in those groups than there is anywhere else in the world, because they have access to
the problem might have been already arisen, you know, in another EU country, you know, like if you're facing some problem here, that might maybe somebody else already had the same kind of situation in Sweden or, I don't know, Germany, wherever, you know, like you can get some advice from their point of view.
Yeah, and well, I mean, that's what it's all about from the consumer side of things, is working together, all of us, and that is what we do, you know. But with the group as well, I would say, you know, ask questions if you don't know something, if you're not sure about something. And if from a personal point of view, if I post something and you think it's wrong, come and tell me. I'm very approachable in that way. Tom's had to do it a few times, pull me and say, by the way, you said whatever, you're wrong. So, I would encourage people to do that too, because, it happens regular enough as well.
Okay, I see we are an hour and 20 minutes already live, so I think we have to slowly come to an end. What would be your recommendation? So now it's a week left till election. What would be your recommendation? What people can do now? You said to contact the TDs.
Yeah, absolutely. Calls if you can. I'm a big fan of calls because you know your message got through to somebody. You don't need to go over the top, get too complex, too technical. Make it your story, because that's really what they want, and they will listen because they want your votes. Because we have to make it about numbers. We have to make it business owners. Tell them, if you're speaking to them from a business point of view, a flavour ban will kill your business. It'll shut you down. The Fine Gael position was they want to increase taxation, specifically targeted taxation to deter the use of vaping. So they want to increase the price to people who can't afford it, basically. So businesses or people that work in shops, tell them, as well as this helping me get off smoking, you're going to put me out of a job. You're going to close the place that I work. So that's what I would be advising people to do now, with the election coming, because they will listen now.
Have you thought of something like social media kind of, let's call it shitstorm or whatever, like hashtag flavor saves my life or something like that, so people can make a posts on their social media, Twitter or whatever, tag Simon Harris or somebody, like it's basically picture with I vape like apple, crumble, berry, whatever flavor, and that's I really like it, and I'm an adult. I want
that's actually common. Yeah, no, we're actually doing something like that very soon. The signs and everything were off to the printers. I think Tom has them, so that's actually ready to go, which will be pictures just with how long people smoked, and what flavors they used to stay tobacco free. So that's actually something that should be happening very, very soon. But it can't really be just that. Just online is not going to do it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's not going to be enough. It's not going to be near enough at this point, So I would be worried if there's
one thing is I'm kind of amazed by, remember it was like 2 years ago, the water charges came in, and all the people go on the streets and protesting and publicly burning those bills coming in and everything like that. So the water bill was scrapped then after. That's which showed that you united. Yeah, the power is of people being united, and going and fighting for their rights. So I think if we could have a 1/10 of the same kind of like power going on from the Vaper side, kind of show united front and protecting the flavor ban,
Yes, that has to be.
I'm perfectly fine, and I want to have the plus 18 plus regulation. It's I can live with that, and I'm actually want to have this. Would help my business actually, But if we could, just get everybody together and a united voice, so that somebody.
That's what it has to be. It has to be numbers, and it has to be direct contact with TDs. Because all they're hearing at the minute is what they're being told from the Cancer Society and the Irish Heart Foundation. They're not hearing the other side of it, and it has to be, it has to be people's stories. There's an advocate in the United States that he used to close his shows with a saying that I think is just perfect and sums it up. He said, "You don't have to do everything, but you do have to do something." And that's, to me, that sums up what advocacy should be. You don't have to do everything, but just you have to do something, and that's.
Yeah, Tom is not live, but he's commenting now, saying like, sign up. We are very friendly. And John asks, how do you want this video promoted? John, I'm not really sure if I understand your question.
I think he's going to share it. I think that's what he's asking.
Yeah. Okay. Whoever sees this, yeah, of course. If you think it's valuable and it will benefit somebody else as well, not only you, of course, please do share on your social media. This video is just to maybe start some kind of movement.
Yeah.
Some united voice, because I think if and actually I think also the businesses should come together and unite, start doing something, because right now businesses are each running their own, minding their own business, competing with each other, somehow I think this involves each and everyone, the businesses and also the consumers in this case.
Absolutely does, but I know
through me as a business owner, I can tell straight away I will shut in the doors and go home, because that's
I know the IVVA are active. I know that for a fact. Declan Connolly works really, really hard when it comes to advocating. Declan's a very knowledgeable man, and I know they are working hard. But yeah, I mean, you can't just depend on a few people or a few businesses doing a bit and a few consumers doing a bit, and you know what I mean. It really has to be a big effort with as many people as possible. But with the IVVA, I'm sure he has plans and he has a lot of things going on there too. But obviously they're a trade organisation, so I mean I'm not privy to what they're doing and that.
Actually, I'll try to get in touch with Declan and see if he could do another live, maybe with him together as well. Some
Declan's very good speaker. I've seen him on.
No,
TV.
I know Declan personally, so I met him at vape shows.
Well, I mean, Declan will be able to answer some of the questions a lot better than me with regards to licensing and things like that. Because that's his area. The trade group too. So, yeah. But
I would like to ask our viewers, either live or in replay, would you be interested to in another live with IVVA? Just comment below, so I see if the interest is there. I'm gonna try to get in touch and organize another discussion about this then with IVVA. If there is no interest, then obviously, then what for? Basically, please, I need your input. Just comment below if you're interested, and if the interest is there, I'll get in touch with Declan and try to organize another one like this conversation. But then that's from the Irish independent Irish vape businesses. Then I have here another comment from Tom. Remember when TPD2 started? Medical regulation for a proposal. It was the work of advocate groups that stopped that.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. Yeah. The TPD2 wanted to be regulated as a pharmaceutical product. Then they wanted to ban all mods that had external batteries. So yeah, there was some horrible stuff in TPD2, and it was, Tom's 100% correct. It was advocates, people like the New Nicotine Alliance UK. Those are the guys that saved vaping as we know it today. So people power, that's what did it. That's what turned the tide.
And right now it looks like it's again the time to unite and
because it could be worse this time. That's the thing, because you don't have the UK voice in there, so there's every possibility it could be a lot worse. I think you're going to see the calls for pharmaceutical regulations again. I wouldn't be surprised if they try to push that in, and that would probably kill every business.
But what happens first? We need to get our Irish government educated.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
we understand what's the issue, and then the government can go to Brussels.
Yeah.
Tell them, no, oh, listen, no, actually, we are not really happy with this regulation which you're proposing. But if the government doesn't hear us in Ireland right now, the vapers, yeah, then of course they won't care. Okay,
Yeah, well, that absolutely has to start here. There's no doubt about it. So yeah,
so
I mean,
people understand that's
all of us working together. That's what it happens.
Power, you know?
Consumers and businesses, everybody working together for the same common goal. That's really what it needs.
Okay.
So.
Okay, so I think we can call in for tonight. Thank you very much, Damian. That's for your time.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, coming aboard and telling, introducing first of all, explaining what's the NNA doing, and now even I know more. You know what you guys are up to, and if you need any help, get in touch with me, okay? Because I was thinking about, you know, these kind of social media campaign we could maybe do, you know, like people write their own flavors, vaping so many years, you know, like those stories. I think that stories really important. So
it's a good thing to have, but like I say, that is actually coming very, very soon, because we have everything back now. It's just logistics getting it out. So yeah, that's something that will happen. But I would say as well, you know, if anybody does have any questions, feel free to message, you know, send me a private message as well. That's, you know, that's no problem at all.
So, and then people can find you on Facebook with your name, yeah? So
yeah, you'll find me on Facebook there. And, you know, obviously on the Facebook group. But as I say, if anybody has any other questions or whatever that they don't want to post, if you want to talk in private or whatever, just send me a message, and that's totally fine.
Okay, yeah, but just don't message in the middle of the night, you know.
Don't do that.
Because we have different time zones as well. Yeah, just please, because this video can go to the States, you know, like, and we, you know, it's maybe broad daylight in the States, but it's already night over here, you know.
Check time zones first, then.
Okay, then thank you very much who was watching. Thank you very much for those who are watching in replay. If you have any questions, get in touch with Damian. You can also message me if you have some questions, and let's start doing something together, okay? I wish you very, very good night. It's Saturday night, I understand. Maybe you're going out tonight. Be careful, mind yourselves, don't drink too much, and we'll see you then at our regular show, which is Monday, 7 o'clock, where we're gonna look at some items we have got in, and unboxing, etc., etc. Thank you very much, and have a good evening.
Bye.